you immediately become a citizen of the United States, not of the Republic of the United States of America. But that's a different story.
But he is very good. Yes, I really like his work. He's very
yes.
good.
Good. He's going to be happy to hear you said that, Jordan. Is it true, and could you please comment on or add to this, that it was Attorney General under 33rd degree Freemason Franklin Roosevelt who, with the stroke of a pen, created the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, run by 33rd degree Freemason J. Edgar Hoover?
I'm aware that I've heard experts talk about this, that the Federal Reserve and the FBI, the CIA, and a couple of other major, supposedly government agencies have never had a commission from the legitimate de jure government to be founded. The FBI was not a de jure, legitimately commissioned part of government. It was founded in a private way. It was not actually a government agency at first, and today is in fact not a government agency, although it is a part of the United States Corporation Agency. It is not part of the original United States of America constitutional republic, part of that government at all. So what we have is two different governments operating at the same time. You have the original government and the 1868 corporation, and they're so blended together like a soup, you will never know which one you're dealing with. But you can pretty well understand that 99% of everything you call government and dealing with government is the corporation now. But if you're extraordinarily bright and very clever and have spent many years studying the subject, you can access the original Constitution and have the Bill of Rights kick in to protect you, because they still honor that. It's still to be honored, but it's, the ancient Romans had a maxim of law. Very interesting. The Romans, and I'm paraphrasing this, but the Romans had a maxim of law that said a reasonable belief is to be followed as law. A reasonable custom is to be followed as law. Meaning, if you can get enough people believing that certain things are right, and eventually over the years it becomes a custom of the people to believe a certain thing, believe something in mass, even though it's not written down in law, it should be, if it's reasonable, at least respected as law. So even though the FBI may not be, in fact, a legitimate de jure part of government, but it's been operating for so many years under the color of government that today it could be argued in court that you should follow it as a part of the law. Why? It doesn't have to be a part. It doesn't have to be in law, founded in the law. But it is accepted today, as the Romans said, anything which is reasonable, that's been working for so many years, then just accept it as the law. And so that's what we are doing. We're just accepting so much today as being the United States of America law, when it's not a law. They never were founded correctly.
The FBI, the IRS, and the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, can we say that these are the political Gestapo for the Illuminati in the United States?
Well, you know what? There's a scripture in the Bible that has Jesus saying, "By their fruits you shall know them."
Yes.
And I have always, I've always used that as a measuring. By their fruits, what is the fruitage? What do these organizations ultimately bring to America? What do they ultimately bring to your human life on the earth?
Control.
And it's control. Well, then that should answer that. By their fruits you shall know them.
Now this one. Mr. Maxwell, thank you for a lifetime of hard work and courage. At the end of your interview with Bill and Carrie from Project Camelot, which gave me a slightly different slang on things, you said basically, I paraphrase, quote, that in your opinion the human race will not fare well against its present adversary, unquote. Do you have any information that you're willing to share as to the identity of this adversary? Even just a clue or two would be helpful. Please be more specific about your suspicions. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I view, there's so much to be said on that. I view the whole human race as one entity. In the first chapter of Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, the Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, there's a quote, and I think it's in the very first chapter, where he says that politicians and the people who run the planet should view the human race as one person, because all men are men, all women are women, all children are children. So when you're dealing with the human race, just deal with it as one thing, the human race. And therefore, you can control one person, you can end up controlling the whole earth. And so go back over your question again.
Sure. Basically, he wants to know who is the adversary that you referred to.
Oh, okay. So I know that there's probably many powerful organizations in the world, but there are fraternal orders that connect all of these organizations, and they all act in orchestration. And there was a point I wanted to make about that. Oh, I remember. I view the whole human race, and I was thinking that on that interview, that the human race, in my view, is like the herds of animals out on the Serengeti plains of Africa. And they're out there by the thousands, and they're innocent. They're just doing what animals do. They're feeding their young. They're grazing. They're just living their lives. They have no idea where they are. They have no idea what they're doing. They just do what they do. And while the lions are organized, there's only a few of them. There's only a couple of lions, but they are highly organized. And they're very quiet and stealth, and they're slipping up on the herd very quietly. And that's the way I view the whole human race, as being stalked by some very vicious, animalistic humans who couldn't care less about you or your family. And so I believe that these people who are running the planet, and it's just my thinking, but I think the people who are running this planet are not human. I have always felt that. For many years I've felt that they're just not human. Which takes us into a whole new story about the extraterrestrial presence on the Earth, and if there is an extraterrestrial presence, then maybe that's what's really going on, is that we're being manipulated by far, far more powerful and divinely ordained entities who have come here from somewhere else. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Does that render us a laboratory of these entities?
Yeah. Exactly. That's precisely what it would render us, as nothing more than an experiment. In Zechariah Sitchin's work on that subject and others on that subject, I've been looking at that for many years. I believe that we are someone else's experiment. One of the first books that got me started back in 1959 on this subject, on my subjects generally, was a book called The Complete Works of Charles Fort. And in that book, Charles Fort, which you can still get today in any good bookstore, The Complete Works of Charles Fort, F-O-R-T, he said that he believed that we, as a human race, were somebody else's experiment, and whoever they are who have created us are manipulating us, playing us for fools, giving us our religions, our philosophies, our technology, and they are bringing us along according to their agenda for the human race, who we are supposed to be, and what we're supposed to accomplish for our creators. And in point of fact, if you go to the Bible in Genesis 1, it's a mistranslation, and I've sat and talked with rabbis about this subject for many years, because in Genesis 1:1 it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not what it says in the original. In the original language, it says, basically in the beginning, the Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Well, Elohim is plural, more than one. So it would be in the